Welcome to Frame. No, that's not the name. Welcome, it's Start Frame 1, episode 29. And we are live. Holy moly, we are bright as hell today. Yeah, you can see. Well, it's alright. It's daytime, and we are back at our regular streaming hours, which is quite convenient for me because at night I'm not really. I felt like this week during the night streams, it was 8 o'clock. So if you have kids and all the day your kid at home, you probably know that you've basically done at 8 o'clock in the evening. So I'm very happy that we're back in the 2 p.m. Central European time schedule, which is a little bit more convenient to me, and I hope that's fine with you. Well, I think I have to switch over here. All right. It's really bright. Do we leave it like this? Should we put... I think we're not even able to reduce anything here because it's on auto mode. Well, anyways. So, yeah, new episode, and I'm very excited for this one because I think finally we have a breakthrough on the latest stuff we are trying to achieve. I try to achieve. Let me walk you through the process so far. The whole thing started that I got more and more into anatomy studies for my drawings, and I wanted to improve that a little bit. So I studied on the side more and more this stuff, and I thought it would be, well, obviously it's a long way to master all that, but while you learn, you always learn new stuff that you can apply to whatever state you are artistically right now, and just put whatever you found and put it on top of that. And that's why I wanted to start to bring a little bit more anatomy in my characters. And what we got was this little one. So you definitely see I went for a male muscle type, so I can bring in as much anatomy details as possible. Well, not as much as possible, but the amount that I feel like I'm comfortable right now at that point. And there was no idea behind that, so I started to just think about different takes on this guy jumping around, because I thought when he jumps on the board, he's gonna take different poses, and so each pose is a new practice exercise for anatomy, as I have to draw it over and over again, and in different poses. Obviously the body shape will change, the muscles were located differently, not located differently, but tense differently, and so on and so on. So I thought it's cool, it's a cool exercise. So what we worked on after that was a animatic, which is basically just a little bit defining the takes that we're gonna see, the different perspectives, and obviously the movement, the timing of the animation. And we came up with, let me pause this and bring this to you. So we came up with this little clip here. So you see already the perspective is different than here, because I felt like this is pretty plain and I wanted to have a little bit more depth. So we have this little animation, which is, as I said, like a animatic. All right, 2 takes. And I got an idea how this is gonna end, but it's still under development, let's say so. And I totally can see that we maybe want to play around with some close-up shots, how he gets up the tower, to so how he grabs the rail here on the stairs, and how feet step on the different ladder steps and so on. We will see if we want to go into that. The next problem I really got was the perspective, to nail the perspective. Like here we have an idea how I wanted to have the perspective, but it's not perfectly aligned. So I tried different things. First, I tried to draw the perspective right, and try to make some guidelines on top of it, so I really see where the perspective points are, which didn't really work out, especially as in Krita, for example, and also as well Procreate or all the other softwares. You're not really able to draw outside your canvas where your perspective point may be, so you need your guidelines to go outside of the canvas. So one software I know and I thought it could be very helpful is Illustrator, because we have all those tiles, and I felt like drawing every tile by hand is a little bit too time consuming. So I started to build something like this in Illustrator. So you see I have here all different kind of guidelines, if you want, which are automatically as well working as the tiles in the background. But the perspective looked weird to me, and I felt like it's not really what I needed. And it was already going better, but then you see like the tile size here looks pretty weird, and really as well defining the distance. That, like, this is another thing. When you work with perspective, it's not only where your perspective points are, but for example with the tiles you have to calculate the size of every tile when it goes further into the distance, and that was quite some challenge. So what I did, I cheated somehow. Well, it's not cheating, I suppose. Yeah, I went away from drawing that whole thing, because I saw the process is too time consuming to really get what I want. And so I decided I go with I tried in a 3D program to define my perspective and play around in 3D, as it really is super easy to find, to play around with the camera once you have a setup. And our setup is really basic, like we have no complex shapes or whatsoever, and I kind of understand cinema. So what I did, I build the scene in Cinema here. As you can see, let's get out of the camera here for a second so I can just show you what the buildup is. Like, we have like this huge vault, and I get to it why they are so high. And we have our basin here and our board here with the ladder and the rails. And the cool thing about Cinema, or I suppose any 3D program, like you have those polygons and you can subdivide all those simple shapes and render exactly what you see right here. And so those subdivisions, they work perfectly for me as tiles. And so I played around with different perspectives. This is one, this is another one. So I thought this is pretty helpful. I render that out and bring that to as a guide and bring it to a drawing program and really then draw by hand all the lines once they're defined, so I don't really do weird experiments with all that stuff. It's already set, so I start to render it, if you want. Like, I render it in a hand-drawn style. And the cool thing is, once I have this set up, I can also just set up a new camera for our second perspective, which is this one. And that is pretty convenient. So I set up a second camera. Where is it here? To get our second take, and that's why the walls are so high. I'm super convinced that they're not reaching that high, but I thought, why not render it out? If I just draw it until this point or whatsoever, it doesn't matter. But I have everything I need, and you are not seeing anything. Oh, bam! Like, this is so. This went so wrong. Okay, I went too quick. Let's slow down. And I see Jack is in the chat. Hey Jack, man, how are you? I'm glad you're back. I suppose like the 8 o'clock schedule wasn't that convenient. And as I said at the beginning, for me it was neither. So I'm really happy that we're back at 2 p.m. All right. So let me. I suppose I just gonna repeat everything I just said. Okay. So let's see. Step 1 was this character design. A little bit of human anatomy here in a kind of a cartoony look. Step 2, animatic, to define perspective, timing, movement, which was this one here. Right? And as I said before, these are just 2 takes. I kind of know what comes after that image. I'm still not sure if there are gonna be few takes, a few shots before to see how he gets up the board, or just to play around a little bit with the storytelling. And then the next step was to really figure out the right perspective, as this here was an idea but not really aligned. So one intent was to do it all in Illustrator, but as you see, it's a little bit weird, a little bit off. Sizes of the tiles are not really fitting into the perspective, as it's all calculated by hand, if you want, and that wasn't really working either. So this is more or less what I came up with, or probably this one. Yeah, I think this is a perspective that I thought it worked well. And I put in a new camera to also get our second perspective here. So I already started this time in Procreate. Like I switch programs however I feel like. It depends on where I work. I had a little bit time to work in the evening on the sofa, so I thought I'm gonna start in Procreate. It's still on work in progress here, but I started to. It's not here. Where is it? I'm pretty sure. Oh, I got it. All right, I get it here. Where? Oh, here we go. So I started to render out the background based on this cinema file, and it's still not completed. I played around a little bit, and but it goes into the right direction, I think. And for today, I wanted to position our character that we animated so far, even though it was just a animatic, and position it on top of this background, which is still not finished. So let's close all that. And I set up this little image here. We actually could add already. Now you just see the cinema background. Let's add. See. Okay. Way too big. And now I'm not really sure. As you see here, I think later on I want to have this quite big frame around. I just like it as is like graphical element. But maybe because we can add this in later on pretty easily, so why not really keep this here. Okay. And then from here on, I think we could animate position our animated character and animate the board to see if everything lines up and works perfectly. Hey Jack, it was so necessary to jump into cinema. I felt like I wanted to get this right with the drawing, because the moment I jumped into Illustrator and just drew lines and calculated it felt so like it took away the joy, but it was like for obvious reasons. And yeah, I feel like if I would be working on a client's project, I would definitely do it like this, because it would be nonsense to draw over and over some like intense to get a perspective right, losing a lot of time, realizing it's not working. So this is basically not well, this is not a client project, so we are here a little bit on the fly learning, and yeah, definitely. I use it. I sometimes I use Cinema for references and all that stuff because why not? And I'm glad you like the animatic. I'm really happy with everything so far. I'm a little bit concerned and a little bit afraid if the character fits in the perspective. I mean, he has this foreshortening and all that stuff, but I don't know if it's enough, if it fits perfectly into the perspective. I suppose we gonna find out today. So let's jump in it. And I feel, oh no, I think we're gonna have to shrink him down. Feels a little bit like he's too big for this perspective at his initial point. And when he jumps later on, I think that's a good size, as he would be pretty close to us, I suppose. Although now here you see like the feet, I suppose they would be so much smaller because of the perspective. We have to find that out. And one thing that is a little bit annoying right now here, I notice I have some snapping going on when I move the stuff. I thought maybe in tool options, as I have the transform tool, there could be some kind of a snap option that I can toggle off, but it is not. So if you have any idea how this could be solved, be highly appreciated. Snapping. Here we have a snap to center. I'm gonna see. Okay, there it is. Okay, that's better. It is pretty weird to position him without really knowing how the board will look like. So let's try to bring already in the board here. No reaction at all, because I didn't have the brush activated, I suppose. So now if we need some funky color here. Oh, it's so great to be back on the Cintiq, to be honest. I spent now so much time with the perspective and all that stuff, which wasn't really drawing. So this is good. A little bit concerned. I think I'm gonna get the board on a separate layer. Just to be on the cleanup. It's not even a cleanup here, but we have a cleaner up. Okay. So this is board. Oh, by the way, I was checking out your Instagram the other day, because I wanted to see if I can find your 11 seconds piece. Did you finish it, or how did that go? Be very interested. It would be very interesting to see what you came up with. You send it in, nice. So it's on the 11 Seconds Club homepage. Okay, here I think I'm gonna need a guide because it feels kind of difficult to position the board correctly. $145 entries. Wow. All right, I'm gonna let's check it out right now. So all of you watching now or later, check out the 11 seconds club.com, which is not the homepage. Second club. 11 second club now. Oh, okay, it's on YouTube. Nice. Sweet. Oh, I like it. That's pretty cool. Sweet, man. Congrats on that. Pretty sweet. I like it. Do you know where it's original from, the sound? Would be interesting. Or how did you look for the original one in order to get an idea? Or how did you come up with your idea? And let me check it again. Did you? I imagine it's so difficult, like, to get dialogue. I mean, you basically played around with open and closed mouse, which makes sense. But still, you have to. I think it's really cool. Oh, and pretty sweet expressions as well on the guy standing. British beach vacation. It says on the homepage where it's from. It's okay. Yeah, it's probably best the first thing that comes to mind. At least I suppose the first thing that comes to mind is the setting, and then while you go, you have some decisions on the way. I'm actually surprised that you did it frame by frame. I thought like as you're now into 3D, I suppose you do it kind with a maybe there. I think they give you even the some rigs, I suppose. No, I think I saw some rigs that you can download. So I'm really uh, I like it, especially because it's 2D. Nothing against 3D, but I feel like it has this certain. It just speaks to me. I think I even switched to the cinema thing because it's cleaner, but as I see here, it doesn't really line up. So more cinematic. Super cool. Like I love how simple and minimalistic it is, but still readable. Nice, man. I love it to see those processes, and I love that the community is so open with the process and not trying to keep it secret and not wanted to give away recipes or something like that. Awesome. And how is this going right now? Do you then get is now I suppose it's the voting process, and then is there any prizes? I'm sorry, I spoke about the homepage before, but as I never participated, I'm not really sure about the details. Hmm. I don't get it. I now have again. Where's this drawing coming from? Oh, beautiful. A critique from a professional animator. All right, it's cool. Sweet. Okay, this one was invisible in the timeline. Maybe we should do this as well for this and this layer to keep it a little bit tidy. Okay, I suppose now we get pretty low here. I'm again on the wrong layer. Oh man, it gets. Damn you. And again. So I'm gonna lock this one. I think now we are on the board. Okay, now we have to reposition that one and let's see. Here, maybe rises already. How does this feel? Weird. I think here he, instead of going down, he should get up. Do I have my onion skin somewhere here? Oh, here we also have our drawing on the character. Here it should now really. Hmm. Okay. Let's compare this with an older version. For example, this one here. So, okay, he first lifts, then goes down, really pushes. But this is also wrong, I feel. Like, he, supposedly he gets pushed up by the board, which in this moment doesn't make sense. Now he pushes it down the board, and then the board should lift him, and in that moment it doesn't lift him, so there's no. So our animatic is still lagging here. Okay, let's try it. Here we have again the drawing on the character layer. And why am I always getting up here in the layers? Let's get this out. Is this the only one? Okay, apparently yes. So okay, now I'm gonna log it for good, and here I think we remove the keyframes. So now the board first goes up, as this is the anticipation. I haven't been drawing much this week, and you very easily can tell. I feel like if you're not practicing every day, it feels like you get pretty easily quite rusty. And musician friends of mine told me that as well the other day, like the moment they stop playing every day, and because they're too busy with other stuff or whatsoever, they definitely feel like they are getting they're losing um, the motorics. Do you say that like your not your skill but your technique decreases? What is this? Okay. Something weird is going on here. I feel like, so why is this weirdly marked where I deleted? Apparently I deleted. I didn't delete, I painted it white. Oh, Greta, we're still not 100% compatible. Still so much stuff that I have to get into my system to work. But look at that. Okay, now it deletes. Because apparently I accidentally hit backspace as I used to do it in Photoshop and didn't put the delete button. Okay. Lock this again. Hmm. Feels like I have to get this more over here. Let's see why it feels better. Okay, now I'm going off my two guides here, which I thought would work out, but apparently they don't. And let's see if I can get this right without changing the board's length over the animation. The thing that looks weird is the perspective of his legs don't really work. So I think I have to debend. Maybe we have to get into those legs, the feet. Maybe he lifts up here already. I'm not sure. The board could be rising. Oh, not the board. The character could be rising here already. And then no, not really. Okay, let's continue then. Just a little bit more. Here the feet are not correctly positioned. So theoretically the board now has to get up again because it pushes our character up. See how this looks, because it feels weird because of the position of the character. He's not centered anymore. I'm gonna copy this keyframe, and I think I'm gonna keep this a little bit lower. Let's keep it basically where our resting position is, like neutral position here, kind of an in-between. And he should be it should rise way faster, I think. Which means really sure. This project is definitely, this time it's getting to me, the whole perspective thing. Like this, it it started as an anatomy exercise and turned into a kind of a perspective, personal perspective lesson. So those guys are totally, those guys are not. And on the characters. Dude, that is so annoying. Going on with my onion skin here. And here now we have to see how much easing we get in the board, because the less we have, the stiffer it seems. Like if I now here we like slow down the bounce of the board, we could add another one, but I feel like we already have to get in the board being bouncing back. Then we have it a little bit again bouncing to the top, and then I think we are already in our neutral position. Which is a perfect timing, because then he already comes down. So there's only one image where the board is neutral, and then we already have him coming down and pushing the board already down again. Now when we hit play, we were gonna see if this works. There's quite a bend here. I don't know if this is too much or how far. So also have in mind we're here on 4, so we definitely have to have in mind that we're gonna add more frames, which gonna bring those quite separate positions here on the board. They're gonna bring that together, hopefully. My biggest concern right now is the length of the board. It feels a little bit like I'm modifying the length during those bounces. So it may appear like it's shrinking or getting longer throughout the animation. And it's something I want to avoid. I think it works. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. Now let's see about the size, and I'm gonna get another copy of the file before I change anything here. So I want to see if I can exaggerate the jump by Hey Sean in on the YouTube chat. Hello, how are you? I figured out the perspective. I had to get some help with I did the whole setup with cinema after all, and then played around with different um, focal length and the camera to get more or less what I wanted, and it was the after so much trying, like it seemed like the best way to do it. Let's see, we now get him increasing more and more. Still, here should. Okay. Maybe we keep him a little bit smaller. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, why not? I think it looks good. Pretty much like like he gets so big, and as the movement is quite fast, I think we can even I'm sure with the perspective, the body and the whole character is not correctly in there, but as it's not that geometrically like the whole environment, it's not, you have more wiggle room, and it's still, it's, I feel it fits in the perspective. Let's get him a little bit smaller here. Yeah, I think that works for me. All right. It's looking pretty good. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, I'm happy with it. And I'm really looking forward to the fun, like having, I I think a lot of stuff will be added in the composition afterwards. Like imagine this. I'm thinking about compositing it afterwards in After Effects. So I probably gonna add some animation to the tiles that are underneath on site under the water. So I'm gonna do some displacement, turbulent displacement to make the sensation of the water distorting the tiles, and obviously the surface of the water will be animated. And I'm wondering, like a pretty cool effect is maybe we have some reflections of the water in on the walls as well, which could be just like little highlights, very like very blurry highlights. It could be interesting. And I also thought maybe before he jumps, or maybe before he starts, actually before maybe we put in some more shots as he comes up. And I'm thinking about a close up on his eyes or on his face. And there as well would be very cool to have those reflections of the water maybe. But yeah, we'll see how far we're gonna take that, or if we are going directly to a new, if we go to a new project afterwards. Okay. So let's clean that up directly. I mean, the board feels good to me right now. And let's see, this is the draft one. And we gonna get a board cleanup. I think we wanna keep this at least to see how far we have to draw the board, because I only want to animate what I drew here, like from the rails to this point. I'm gonna animate the board because everything else is static and will be just in the background, a still image. There, no. I think we have to. Oh yeah, we open that file here. I already have my color swatches here. So this is the outline color. Clean up. opacity of our draft. And oh wow, now we have to check first. I guess I'm mixing all the programs together. The background was done in Procreate, and so I first now have to get a fitting stroke width to have a consistent stroke width. Let's see if 10 is, oh, so what is that? 1 pixel? It is. All right. Still feels like thicker though. Okay. Do we need anything else? Maybe some, because this is such a geometric shape, maybe we get more stabilizer. See how this is. Ah. No, this is quite a lot, I suppose. Well, let's try it. And I think I'm gonna rotate canvas to get my most convenient angle here. Okay, Sean on YouTube asks, how do you usually to check if the size is good for a character proportion, for example, when it comes near the point of view? Do you do it by side or you draw grids to be sure? This one is totally by just feels good, I suppose. Here I had, from the beginning, I feel like this is a good reference, the rail, to see if it kind of lines up with this point here, because if I feel like if he had the rail here, and then afterwards I suppose it would be like the bigger I make him when he jumps up means the closer he gets to the camera, so I basically can decide how big he gets, although I don't want him to get too big because it means like because of the focal length, I would have the bigger he gets to the camera. Let's say like if this was his leg, I suppose his head, I suppose his legs would be like super small. And so I don't want to overdo it with the drawing that I already have because the legs are still pretty big for this kind of focal length. And measuring it, I really just started by with measuring when I wanted to get this perspective right in Illustrator. So I started to learn a little bit better how you actually get the right size in the distance, which was super interesting. And maybe we can cover that in another stream once I feel maybe more comfortable with the whole topic, because I'm still very, very shaky. So yeah, there's no measuring so far. And as I really defined the perspective after I drew the animation of the character, which was probably not the best way to do it. Like, it's not the right order to do it. But at the beginning, I thought like, I can handle the perspective. No problem. That's easy peasy. But well, I got cocky, and then once in the process, I realized, no, I mean, maybe I could have tried it and get some results that would be okay, but as this is supposed to be a learning uh, process, and the stream is supposed to show how to improve, I thought it's only fair to try to nail it as close as possible, I suppose. I hope that answers your question, John. And I cannot imagine like you would measure the size exactly for each drawing. Maybe yeah, for the extreme poses then, but I feel like there's movement there. It's not too. You don't have to be too strict. But that's what I thought at the beginning with the whole thing. And as you see, then suddenly it got to me and I realized it's not working. So I hope it doesn't happen with the character. And as we saw for now, it looked quite right. It's pretty sweet. Like I like the whole composition now. He's here quite little, and thinking that he actually reaches this point seems super high jump. But when you see like he's getting bigger and bigger, then it actually makes you understand even better the perspective. We actually don't need the character here. Wonder if we want to keep this a little bit. This is actually pretty fun to clean up in a way. It makes sometimes feels like I don't know, you have to concentrate really hard to make the stroke work, although it's really wiggly. And the more you concentrate, the more like it feels like your brain starts to get this nod. And I start to as you see, like the outline is so much thinner that I did the last in the last project we did on the stream. And I kind of start to really like it, and I like the imperfection of the hand drawn lines. Kind of gives it. Oh, that here. That kind of difficult when you have this very thin line and you have to, you're not able to draw the whole line that you want, and you have to pause at some point and then continue on that pause to really hit again the point so it seems fluent, because most of the time it looks like something like this, because there's always this slight offset on the Cintiq. So that's probably a reason or an argument to or against the thin outlines. And it's weirdly, it feels like it has to. That's a problem with this style. This thin lines, like corrections are nearly impossible because you don't, as the whole every line is the same width, and you totally see when you have to correct something. I think later on it's not really visible. I hope so. When drawing this, I try to lift my arm as much as possible and not having it lay down on the Cintiq. It makes my stroke. I have more, let's say, there's more space that I can cover with my stroke when I lift my arm. That makes sense. Okay. So here we're back in our neutral position before he comes down and really bends the board. Okay. Sorry, I just listened to a song that I really like and I want to figure out who it is, so I can check out the rest of their songs. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so now comes the big bender. He lands again on the board and prepares for takeoff. Okay, Sean says he never really uses graphic tablet. So you don't do you have a tablet where you look at the screen so you don't have this monitor tablets? Because I know what you mean. I had one before, the Cintiq Intuos, I think, and it was super awesome when I first got it. The more and more I got into frame by frame animation, I figured there are limitations, especially like the thing, I suppose that's why you're referring to, you have this super thin lines and really aligning and continuing the line, it's very difficult to actually hit the right spot with your pen. And I felt that that's where those monitor tablets like the Cintiq or other products. I don't really know the names. You mentioned an XP Pen as a brand, I suppose. Don't know the products, but definitely I think Wacom is not the only solution. And and I don't know how other products are, but at least on my PC, which is kind of a big troublemaker. There are a lot of problems with the Wacom drivers, so for me it's not like it's the product that never fails and is super good. I don't know. I could imagine like there are a lot of other products out there that get the job done. Obviously the character should be on top of the board. Okay, we missed one here. And I just recently reinstalled the whole OS X on my MacBook Pro. And the last time I tried to set up my iPad with Sidecar as a monitor, just didn't work. And I thought, well, now I just erased everything, resetted everything. Maybe now it works, and still couldn't set up the iPad as a tablet. So you may wonder after a few streams if I just have bad luck with my machines or if I'm just incompetent with machines, and I think it's latter. Okay, it's a brand, and a lot of people say it's reliable. So I don't know how the whole politics with the product is. I think it makes sense to really get one and try them, I suppose. Because yeah, if not, it's a little bit a pain, like getting back the product, especially nowadays, I suppose. But yeah, you should definitely get one with good. At least I always try to get good quality and then make sure that I. Whoa, look at that! That looks like it's getting shorter and shorter. I'm a big fan of buying quality and whole and knowing that you have it for quite some time. So, but as well nowadays I feel a lot like there are no products anymore that really have a long life, as they're by design break after not too much time. Do you see what I see? Like it shrinks back. It doesn't really. Maybe with the character it works better, but it seems like very weird. Yeah, with the character it works, but if you see, if you look at that, it shrinks back and then it bounces. It doesn't really look like it lifts. And that may be because we have to. And yeah, definitely try out, because before I got the Cintiq Pro, I had the previous generation, which was very well cheaper, obviously, than the HD. I bought it when the HD just came out, and it was the 4K and whatever. And I didn't want to spend too much money, and considering that it was just 16-inch. So I had the 32-inch previous generation, which is this huge thing. Well, it just basically occupies your whole desk, and it was awesome, like to draw on this huge thing. But then I felt like the connectors, I don't know, they were how do you call them? BGAs, I suppose. And I thought like this is a very old connector, and when I get a new computer, whatever, are they still compatible? Do I need all this weird adapters? And I thought maybe on the long run the HD version is a little bit better. But I said it in the previous stream, I wouldn't recommend the Cintiq Pro HD. They came out with the same size, but it's not 4K resolution, it's full HD, I suppose. I don't know. And I would recommend that, considering the price and what I feel actually. I never work on 4K. It's a higher resolution than 4K, and maybe it's 2K. And now with Grita, I sometimes feel like maybe I would like to have it on 4K actually, because then my whole interface would be a little bit smaller. I don't know if I could navigate that easily because everything would be so small, but and actually it is weird why I don't get 4K. I don't know. I have a 4K monitor here and I don't receive 4K on the Cintiq. That may be a good thing to get into to see if I can get the 4K going on the Cintiq, which will give me more space on the user interface. So yeah, I'm gonna check it out. But the HD22, is that the previous generation? I don't know. Yeah, I felt like those huge ones with those big legs to install, they use up so much space. And I like the idea of that Cintiq Pro 16-inch to as well. I travel with it sometimes. That's a convenient thing. But now I feel like it would be great to have this big ones here. So yeah. But well, you can always get what you want, right? And after all, it's start with whatever you can afford, and then maybe get the jobs that allow you to buy a bigger one. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is not correct, physically correct, because compare this one with this one. This one is definitely so much longer than that one, but I feel it's all right. It's not a 100% realistic animation, and maybe we can define it as a stretch, squash a stretch. I don't know, to go with it. Okay. So maybe we color it directly. I think I keep it in the same. Can I draw behind? Was there an option to draw behind? I don't think so. Well, then we use another layer. So let me see. So this is fairly dull here. Good thing is we should be done with this pretty easily, pretty quickly. And then the next thing would be the cleanup of our character, which will be a little bit more time consuming to add all, because we have different layers here. We have our simple fill colors, then we have our hard shadows, and we have a highlight layer as well. So we have to do 4 passes actually, if you consider the outline. Okay, Sean says the bending is all right. It's within the realm of animation, so the exaggeration of animation. So I feel the same way, and I it sometimes happens to me when you get into too much into the details, you get lost without realizing that nobody is gonna realizing it. But on the other hand, I have a lot of work where when I see it, I still see the things that I was wondering at the moment when I did it, if I should like correct it because it felt off, and it still feels off today, and now it's too far in to actually change it. So I don't get any preview here. Wasn't there any a window or something? Ah, okay, I have to keep the brush tool and press Alt to get the color. Then I have this swatch on the side. Ah, of course. Oh, shoot. You see what happens here? I had this reference layer on with low opacity, and somehow the fill tool used every layer as a reference, which messed up my fill, for example, here. See how bad it is. You see this here? So fill tool though is pretty cool here in Krita. I like it. For now, it doesn't look too bad, but I'm afraid there's, due to this sampling of all the layers, there may be some weird transparency later on, and it's gonna be visible when the moment we put in all our layers. Okay. There's also the option just to sample labeled layers. I'm not really sure what labeled means. Is this a label here? Anyways, so what is that here? Why is there anything else on here that may give us problems? I don't see it. Okay. What would be interesting, but I don't know if it necessary. No, I don't know. Like this shadow here is basically caused by this part of the board, so there could be some kind of a hard shadow at this point here. So, which would animate as well with the bouncing, but I don't know. I don't know. You have to pick your battles, right? So I think. Okay, this is working. Let's see. Where is the? Damn it, I never find it. The canvas and reset canvas rotation here. Where's? Do you see this little guy here? That's a weird thing. Okay, somewhere in here. Well, that looks cool. I think I'm happy with that. All right, I think I'm gonna leave it for today. Here we still have our holiday today, so I think I'm gonna close the office for today. But I'm gonna be back on Wednesday, 2 p.m. as always. And then, well, yeah, I don't know if I may have already some cleanup stuff prepared for the next stream, or we're gonna continue to clean up the character here. But I definitely want to finish the background, so this is done, and I don't see how this could be any interesting for a stream. Me seeing drawing the lines, so I'm probably gonna do this off stream, and then we're gonna continue. I like it. So thanks to all of you who joined today. Glad you made it again, Jack. Very cool to see you back, Sean, as well. Thanks so much for participating in the chat and all that. That's pretty fun, and I hope this can grow in the future. So have a great Easter Monday, or if there's no holiday in wherever you are sitting, have a great day. See you on Wednesday, and thanks a lot for being here. Have a great day and see you. Bye bye.